Benelli. It is one of the oldest motorcycle brand in the world, and they have been making motorcycles since they opened their workshop garage in 1911. Mama Teresa Benelli wanted to ensure 6 sons would have a stable job, so her mama instincts tell her to open up a business in their hometown Pesaro. She invested all of the family capital to a business that would paint the motorcycle industry of Italy. Two of those brothers, namely Giovanni and Giuseppe, were sent to Switzerland to study engineering and fortify their future plans. Over the years, the Benelli brand grew their reputation as a formidable motorcycle manufacturer, along with the help of their youngest brother, Tonino, who uses their bikes to race along Italy's local championships, wherein they won many times and made fans along the way, which will pave way to more sales for Benelli. Mas maraming panalo, mas maraming naniniwala sa gawa nila. Every step they make, the Benelli brothers make innovations after innovations. Bawat karera may inuuwing aral para palakasin at pagandahin ang gawa nilang motor. But Giuseppe Benelli, one of the brothers that started in Switzerland, had thought of an innovation for a new engine. But the brothers disagreed, hanggang sa nagkapersonalan na. With heavy emotions, Giuseppe left Benelli and made his own motorcycles with his own brand called Moto B Pesaro, which will later be known as Moto B. Moto B grew and grew with Giuseppe's innovations, but it was short-lived as he passed away later on. In 1962, Benelli acquired Moto B, which brought the family and innovations back together to a single household name. Fast forward today, and Moto B is now a modern brand mark to represent future heritage motorcycles of House Benelli. This is the Moto B 200 Evo. This is Benelli's take to the entry-level cruiser segment. Like how the Japanese brands offer different bikes for different people, Benelli follows the same marketing plan, as they also sell bikes for different type of people. In this case, they have an entry-level cruiser just below the 502c's belt. Redesigned by Benelli Center Steel in Italy, then mass-produced by their parent company called Tianjin Group in China, whom bought Benelli back in 2005 when it was financially down. Conveniently, Tianjin Group also owns Keyway Motors. Thus, Benelli and Keyway share the same resources when designing and manufacturing bikes to further reduce R&D costs. Yes, you heard it right. It was redesigned by Benelli, because the original bike is actually the underpinnings of a Keyway Superlight 200. It's the same bike, same engine, same soul, parang Moto B 152 sa ibang bansa, pero binibenta dito as Keyway Cafe Racer 152. In this case, Keyway sells the newly designed Benelli bike as K-Light 202. But I have to say, hindi ko gusto yung disenyo na Superlight dahil mukhang pang V-twin ang bodywork nito, unfit for a thumper. But Benelli got it perfectly right this time. Hindi ito overstyled or overkill ang disenyo. Tama at fit para sa isang classic thumper. Benelli based the design from the old Moto B B200 thumper with its elegant and classic looks, with bits of sportiness on the front end which resembles Harley's Sportster. They are more rounded shapes than edgy lines that most classic bike lovers would come and appreciate, which is the advantage of classic looking bikes. Hindi ito basta-basta naluluma despite na sa dami ng mga bagong motor na nilalabas. Well, I guess karamihan sa atin, even non-motorcyclists, would come and appreciate a classic looking bike. For some reason, it's like porn on two wheels for us dudes alike. You get a classic rounded halogen headlamp, check. Teardrop styled slim gas tank, Check, check. 10-spoke wheels? Check. But no white wall, so we'll have to uncheck that. Front-mounted foot pegs and a tail-tied rear with a mudguard extension that you can remove and must be removed for extra pogy reasons. This bike is custom ready with all the mounting points available. The Moto B 200 is absolutely handsome at first glance. Hindi masyadong komplikado ang disenyo nito with less decals and more character na ma-appreciate mo over the years of ownership dahil hindi nawawala ang classic aura nito. Bawat hinto mo sa stoplight dapat handa ka na sa mga interview answers mo. But this is for sure, this quality bike will only cost you 99,000 pesos. Flip the ignition on the right side corner of the bike and the compact digital dashboard comes to life, providing basic information like tachometer, speedometer, fuel indicator, odometer, neutral indicator. Sadly, it does not include a gear indicator, wherein it is highly prized by new riders alike. Regardless, I like the design of the clean and simple rounded dashboard as it adds up to the classic modern retro styling. And you get a fancy switches with good quality spring-back feel. Heck, even the turn signal are pressable to their respective direction. This bike has a touch of quality and attention to detail, along with the buttons and branding on the sides. This cruiser is powered by a fuel-injected 197cc oil-cooled single-cam 2-valve squared engine, merely producing 12.7 horsepower at 7,000 RPM and 13.9 Nm of torque at 6,000 RPM, governed by a 5-speed gearbox that can reach speeds around 125 km per hour, depending on your weight and road condition. Now I know, alam ko ang iniisip mo, bakit ganyan ang engine specs nito? Bakit pang 150cc? Ang sagot dyan ay dahil mababa ang compression ratio ng makina ng Moto B 200, which is a usual thing sa mga cruiser type bikes. Now let me explain further. Modern roadsters and sport bikes would normally operate at around mid to top end of the power band, and it needs to be light, agile, and fast as well, thus a bit higher compression ratio to provide a bit more power. Cruisers on the other hand, well, judging by the name they cruise, a typical cruiser engine must emphasize easy to use and plenty of low-end power, and does not require that much horsepower as it normally operates at lower RPMs at higher gears. If this is so not you, then I highly suggest that you get a power cruiser instead like its bigger 502c brother. Fire up the engine and the thumper comes to life, giving off a bassy yet not too loud exhaust note that you will enjoy when cruising along the countryside or the streets. Thanks to fuel injection, the engine is responsive but not frantic or jumpy due to the low compression ratio. Now, the power is mostly tuned for the low and mid-range. You can go as high as 9,000 RPM, but it will merely just buzz around as power begins to lose at 8. But hey, nobody revs a cruiser not until a 5.0 chases you. lang ang power nito para sa pang-araw-araw. Brakes are good, likewise on the rear. It can handle stop-and-go traffic easily, and it can comfortably traverse long highway at higher gears, around 60 kilometers per hour, and stay there long enough with the help of the 11.8-liter tank and low-consuming, low-compression engine. And yes, it can hold the ground with the help of the long wheelbase. Riding position is a mix of touring and roadster. Remember that I said it somehow resembles a Harley Sportster? That is because the riding position of the Moto B 200 is not the same as the Superline's typical cruiser position. It uses a standard street bike handlebar which decreases the laid-back cruiser comfort that we come to know of, but it increases leverage and engages you up front for a more sporty riding position, yet retaining the forward-mounted foot pegs to decrease the stress. The results? The riding position is tucked in like a sport bike, yet your feet acts like a shock absorbers. This bike is not just good at cruising at low speeds, but likes to be cornered hard as well. May isang bagay ka na hindi mapapansin sa motor na ito. Rather than using the standard cruiser frame, the Moto B 200 uses a bassinet frame, or also known as trellis frame, which why it somehow compels to be ridden hard on the corners. But be mindful as the rear tires and wheelbase are not designed to be cornered hard. But still, maaambis ka na kaya nito makipagsabayan sa kurbada and handles well with bare effort. Now we've talked about the pros of the bike, let's talk about the cons of it that I see and observed. First things first. You see, Benelli and Motobi were not known to make cruisers, and they never made one even on their golden years. Rather, they were known to make high-performance bikes, cafe racers, roadsters, and a few scooters, but not cruisers. Not until Shanjin Group took over. Thus, this was a product of marketing rather than heritage. Second is the riding position. Yes, it's sporty and comfortable due to the forward-mounted foot pegs, and you can reach the rear brakes with ease. But the problem starts with the gear lever. You see, the body position is curved to the point that this can be uncomfortable for corpulent riders, and you barely can't move your feet upward to change the gear unless the bike has a quick shifter. This would work, but in this case it does not have one, and there are times that I can't pull the gear lever all the way up, which results to an embarrassing display of mischiefs.
Hard.
Look at the original Harley Sportster. The foot pegs are mounted in the middle rather than on the front. Third is the engine. It's too lowly compressed to the point na magsasawa ka kagad sa power nito, unless ikaw yung tipong rider na takot mag-ride above 60 kilometers per hour. This engine will bore you out, as it is tuned like a street bike rather than a cruiser, as it is near evenly squared, rather than turning it to a long stroke unit like Harleys and Enfields for more torque, and giving it a bigger rear sprocket to compensate the weight of the fat rear tires, which at this state will slow down the bike at the low area of the power band. But like people, bikes are not perfect as well, and there will be flaws that you will need to accept. In this case, the Moto B 200 has its flaws, but it has its good side as well. Classic design equals to undying looks. Low compression ratio equals to low stressed engine and can run on low octane shitty fuel. Street bike handlebar with front mounted foot pegs equals to a sporty riding yet supported riding position. Alas, a favorite amongst the masses, a TAG 200cc engine equals to the open possibility to legally change your pipe, not only for the sound, but to reduce the weight. You see, like any other classic modern retro bike, the Moto B 200 Evo was not only designed to be ridden after purchase, it was meant to be customized as well. Give it your soul, give it character, represent your personality, give it a purpose to serve you well and tell your story on the road. Benelli might not have heritage with cruisers, but heritage was built by the riders whom rides the bike and not by the brand. So what are you waiting for? Will you just sit down or will you build your legacy with Benelli?